Hi. We're working on a new project today. Get this ironed. We are working on Stars Aligned. This is a pattern by Julia McLeod. And if you're not familiar with Julia, she primarily recycles, upcycles, whatever you want to call it, silk fabrics. We've done, I think we have 3 of her patterns we produced for her. And we have, the first one we did was the pineapple, I think it's either pineapple kaleidoscope or kaleidoscope pineapple. And then the cover photo on that pattern is all made from silk ties. And then we did Flying Circus for her. And then this is sort of a takeoff. This is a much bigger quilt. This is the quilt. Let's see if I can get it here without the lights reflecting on it. This one is also made from silks. Whoa. It's the grandmother's fan. There's 36 grandmother's fan, and then there's the flying geese sashings, and then there's a border, and it makes this pattern. It's a pretty, everything but the corner, but the white corner, the star cornerstones, everything else is on foundation. So there's a lot of foundations. And this is my fabric that I'm doing it in. See if I can, there is, I've got the top border on. I got the first double row of the grandmother's fans, and I've got another row, half a row done. So I'm halfway, I've got half of the fan blocks all done and put together. I haven't worked on this one for quite a while, and when I got it out yesterday, I realized I had all of the grandmother's fan, the fan part done. I have 18 of them done and sewn together, and I have 18 more like this, or like this. This block happens to, I just finished this one as we were coming on, sewed the inner part on. So this is one grandmother's fan block, complete block. So, and the fan block, this block is pretty straightforward. I'll turn it over and show it to you. It's just very, very simple to do. So I've got my 6 fan blades sewn on there, and now I'm going to trim this. And all I did was alternate a dark blue and a light blue. All the fans are exactly the same. This is a great one to chain piece. Just sit with your 2 stacks of cut fan blades at your sewing machine, and just, you can go through, as I recall, I think I did like 6 at a time, because 6 works out. I did 6 groups of 6, and it made it go really, really, really fast, and I didn't have to think about it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to trim the 2 straight edges of the fan 1/4 inch from the solid line. And I already have stitched between the solid line and the broken line all the way around, because the 2 end pieces aren't held together to the fabric. So you want to stitch at least that part, the straight edge down there between the solid line and the dotted line. I did the outer curve, but not the inner curve also. You can see I stitched across the top. And you don't have to do that. I think the pattern shows, I think you can see it here, a very right there. It's a light green line to show you where to baste. It'll probably be, I'm not doing full color runs, so it'll be a very light gray, but it'll show you where to run your basting stitch. So now I'm going to trim the curved edges. Sometimes I will use my rotary cutter and cut it, but most people are a little shy about that. So and it depends. If I've been doing a lot of it lately, you get a little more accurate. You end up actually holding the blade pretty much in the same place and turning the foundation, but it does take practice. How's everybody doing today? I've had a very busy morning this morning. A good morning, though. I gotta move this. Hi, guys. Glad you could join us. And then I'm going to clip this inside one. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways. This is a pretty tight little curved piece to seam. Just as we were coming on, I was finishing sewing one on the machine, like we do our New York Beauty blocks. You want to clip. You always clip these inside curves so that you can actually kind of open it up. You don't stretch it, but you can open it up so it becomes almost a straight line of stitching. And then, let me see. I need to cut. Now, where did those go? I have one here that I did, like we did the center of the floating blocks. I put the foundation onto the right side of the fabric, and I stitched just the curved line. Let me see if I can. I stitched just the curved line on the solid line, and then I clipped the seam. You can see I clipped it all along there so it will have a smooth curve. Then turned it right side out, and I need to press this. And then you can place it right on top there. Line up your side seams like this. And what I like to do is put a couple pins in from the bottom side on the seam line. Maybe 3 in the middle. So I know exactly where to line it up. None of these come together to make a complete circle. There's sashing between it. So if you're off a little bit, that's okay. But then come back and pin it in place. Just using that pin sticking through to kind of make sure that where I turned it under, where I stitched on there and turned it under, that it is, that's your seam line, where if you join them together, they would be, now there's some fullness here that we want to kind of move out. And then you can applique this on. And you can applique it on the machine. You can applique it by hand. Whichever way you would prefer. I actually was surprised when I sewed. See, I sewed this one on. And I was really surprised how easy it was. That would be my preferred method. But this is another way. If you don't want to do that tight curve, you can applique that on, and it'll be absolutely fine like that. And then we're going to do the outer part. Well, and what you do is lay this on the back of your background fabric or your main fabric. Oh, look, I was talking about place to put pins. Why, I'm going to make a cute one now that I know I like the placement. I just took 4 layers of batting, a piece of scrap batting, and then I used a temporary glue and glued it on. It comes right off. But I'm going to make something real cute to go up there. Now that I've gotten used to it being there and I like it. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your foundation on the back side of your fabric. And I like to press it. It's not fusible, but if you press it, it kind of gives it a little static electricity to hold it together. And then I take it to the machine. And you can see, I think you can see there's a faint little line there, and it does say basting line. I don't lengthen my stitch when I do this. I just use a regular, what I use when I'm piecing. And I am going to leave this stitching in. It's because if I didn't do this stitching, this would just be loose when I went to join it together. And then you could, when you put it together, this could move on you slightly, and you'd sew it and it'd be a little out of shape, not the right. It wouldn't lay flat. It wouldn't look good. You would not be happy. So it's just best if you, like I say, just lightly hit it with the iron. And when you're using, if you're new here, these are our leave-in foundations. You're not going to take them out. You won't know they're in your quilt. But they keep everything nice and square or straight, and give you great blocks. But I lost my train of thought. That's not unusual. I do go all the way around, because when you're joining this curve to the fan, you want to keep the foundation and the fabric together. We will be clipping it, but it will all stay together. And if you've sewn curves, made New York Beauty blocks or this block, whatever, without the foundation, you know that it's almost impossible to sew this curved edge on and not have it stretch a little bit. It just is the nature of fabric. And that's why it won't lay flat after you've stitched it on. And open it up and press it. And this does away with that problem. And it gives you the seam line to actually sew on, so you get a nice smooth curved seam. Now what we're going to do is we are going to trim all the straight edges 1/4 inch from the solid line, and that is more than likely on the dotted line, but pretend the dotted line isn't there. It's only there. It's not there as a cutting line. It's there to make sure that you have your fabric out that far, so you have a full 1/4 inch of fabric in your seam allowance. Get these two ends. And then again, I'm going to cut the curved edge with my scissors. When we do a curved piece, we do make sure that it's 1/4 of an inch from the line, because we want you to have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that's what's on the piece. The piece we're sewing it to has a 1/4 inch seam allowance from the printed curve line, so that way you can match up your edges and your seam lines will match. Okay, so there we have that. And now we're going to go back, and where these marks are, we're going to clip. Actually, I should probably put a few more clip marks in there. This is a gentle curve, quite a large curve, so it's pretty easy. Okay. Now, where's our fan? Here's our fan block, so we're going to set that with the right side facing out, put right sides together, and you want to match the center with the seam. Put edges even. Put a pin in it. I like to pin on the side opposite the seam allowance. I have less layers to pin through. And then we're just going to kind of roll this together. Put a pin in it. Roll that together. And then before I do it all, I like to go out to the outside edge. And match that. And have that. You want this straight. You want those edges straight and even. And then come back and make sure we can ease this in. Got a little fullness there, so we just sort of ease it in so you don't have any puckers. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Don't be afraid to pin. If you pin, more than likely you're not going to do unstitching. See, and I match those edges. I want to keep those straight, so when I open it up, the seam line goes straight on out. And we'll come back and make sure we can get this all eased in there. But you're not pulling or tugging on anything to stretch it to make it match. Fits nice. Okay, then we're going to take it to the machine and we're going to stitch it down. Like to keep that straight. There, that's good. Put my needle down, take my pin out. And then we're just gonna ease it in here. I keep my finger on the side and I kind of just keep a little bit of pressure on it it makes it end up being more like a straight seam when you do it like that. You're keeping your edges even, but because of the fullness, if you move it like this a little bit, you'll ease that fullness in better. And I let it. There we go. Don't want it to pucker. Take it slow and easy. Sometimes. There we go. And I like to do this so that sorry, I was reading your remarks. If you just take this slow and easy, it will come out and you'll be very happy with your and you can back stitch. And then there we're all sewn. Then I take it to the ironing board and I kind of just run the nose of the iron along the seam line first. Make sure I don't have any puckers there, and then I just press it on out. And yes, I do use steam. I know a lot of quilters don't like to use steam, and that's quite all right. I just feel like I get a better, flatter seams if I use, if I use steam. Got my little iron today. So there we have it. And then I'll applique this on the bottom. So there's 2 blocks. And then we have our sashings. And I've got quite a few of them either done or almost done. Move the extras. So this is one sashing unit. So we start with fabric piece number 1 is a pink, and I've got quite a few of these done. Those are all done. Haven't trimmed them yet. And then this one is, see, I've been chain piecing, you can tell, because these are all at the same place, same amount. And when you're making a lot of blocks that are all the same, chain piecing is a great way to get through it a little faster. And I do believe, see now this one, I don't know why I have it just the one. And I thought this was so cute. The background fabric kind of looks like, to me, it looks like it's underwater plants and what have you. And my white is a white on white, and I don't know if I'll be able to turn this. It's little white turtles, white on white. I thought that was so cute. Not that you can really see. You really got to, you really got to see that. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got my pieces to add on. So we'll do a few of these flying geese, especially for those of you who have never seen how easy and perfect our flying geese come out. So these have been sewn on. And I'm not going to chain piece this. I'm going to do one at a time to show you the process. So we opened it up, and you can see just by stitching on the line what perfect points you get with these. And we've got the lighter green for the background. So the first thing we're going to do is turn this over, and we're going to trim that fabric there, this extra fabric, down to 1/4 inch. So number 8 is my next piece, and I'm going to put my straight edge right along the seam line where we'll be adding our next piece. We're going to fold the foundation back. You never want to cut your foundation. And then to add a 1/4 ruler. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's got a 1/4 inch lip on it. You can see that there, 1/4 inch lip. And it just, put it with the lip side down, and it just hooks onto your straight edge. Just hold that there and trim away this extra. Don't want all that extra in your quilt. So there, you can see there is my 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when I flip it over, I know right where to set my next piece, and I know when I sew it on and open it up, it's going to cover the space it's supposed to. All of the sizes, we tell you to cut what size to cut all of your pieces, and they're all based on using a 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout. So, and then I just put a pin there to hold it in place. Just makes it easier to get it to the bed of the sewing machine. turn it over. You do all your work on your foundation side. It's just like traditional paper piecing. And then you're just going to stitch on the line from where it starts to where it stops. And I use a regular stitch length. Whatever stitch length you use in your traditional piecing is what you want to use on this. You don't have to use that itty bitty stitch length like you do in paper because you're leaving this in. And that way, if you do make a mistake, you can take your stitching out on this side and just keep right on using the foundation. It's sort of self-healing. And we want to press it, and I like to set my stitches. It gives you, it doesn't leave, if you set your stitches, the threads, if you set your stitches here that we just stitched, just hit it with the iron, it makes the threads kind of bury themselves in the fibers of the fabric. So when you open this up, you're not opening it up over a ridge of stitching. Gives you just a little bit flatter seam. And then we're going to turn this over and we're going to trim this side down. Put our straight edge along the next seam line. All you care about is the next number. Put your outer quarter on there. Trim away that extra. Outer quarter is the only tool you need to make any of our blocks or quilts, patterns. Okay, we're going to take our next piece and we're going to set it. And if you want to know how to center it, just center this bottom corner, this triangle, with that seam line down below, because these seam lines just, that line just runs right on up through the corner here. So if you put this corner of the piece you're adding right there on the seam line or very close to it, you will know that it's centered, and it's, when you stitch it and open it up, it's going to cover the whole space that it's supposed to. Turn it over. And I like this because you see, I can see that little corner there is the piece I'm adding, so I know it didn't get flipped down underneath. When you're paper piecing, you can't see that, and I can't tell you how many times I would get that corner flipped over while I was taking it to the machine, and you can't tell till after you get it sewn and check it. But with this, you can see through the foundation, so you can see that it's placed properly and avoid one more problem. And remember, this is a fabric. The foundation is a fabric, so it doesn't dull your needle like paper does. I keep talking about it. I want to order a new iron. I love my big one, but it's just so big on this small mat. Okay, now we're getting ready to add piece number 10. And this is where we're going to sew it on. So we're going to put our straight edge along there. Fold this back. Put the outer quarter on there. Trim that extra away. And this one, I gotta look, this one is, oh, this one's a dark green, but I put the white on the outside. We'll put this right there. There's a couple ways you can line this up. I just look down here and kind of make sure that it's even. Or you can fold it in half. And just put the fold right at the peak of the previous one. there's enough fabric. The size is ample so that if you're off a little bit, it doesn't matter. If you're off to one side or the other, it won't be a problem. Okay, and then we want to put our needle down right there. I really do recommend using an open toe foot so you can see where your needle is stitching. And I did order a new foot. I'm anxious, can't wait to get it. It looks just like the foot on my vintage machines, and they are perfect. I love, like on my featherweights, the open, the standard foot that it comes with. I guess you'd call it the feet or the toes are close together. They're very, very close together. They're like right over your feed dogs. And it's got a little wider spot in here. This one's open slightly. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you can see it's open slightly, so I can see the line. But the vintage machines, they're just slightly further apart, but they go on the feed dogs. Now, I bought several different ones of these, and they're all too far. These right on the toes right on the feed dogs, but the fabric will start to bunch up as you're feeding it through the machine when it's this wide of an opening. So I've ordered the one that's got it is called, I forget what it's called, the standard, I'll have to look it up. Where's my catalog there? And I got now they do not endorse me or pay me anything to say this, but I did get this catalog just out of curiosity. And this is the foot I ordered. Oh, it's a hinged standard foot. But see how it's open a little more than the one I have. And I also ordered the hinged standard non-stick foot. I don't like this. Oh, that's for leather, but I like that straight, and it's just a little wider opening than what I have on my standard one that came with the machine. So I'll let y'all know what I think, or you'll get to watch me. Okay, number 11 is next. And we're going to just put this on there. And if that toe works good on my machine, I will be ordering a bunch of them and carry them in the booth and have them here on the website. Oops. My pieces here got a little wrinkled. Can you see the little turtle there? Maybe if I put it, yeah. Can you see the little turtle? I think that's so cute. Okay. And it's white on white, so I guess actually that's the right side. There he is. Flip it over. And see again, I match that bottom corner. And when you're putting, haven't talked about this for a week or two, when you're putting a light color over a dark color, because in paper and foundation piecing, you cannot change the way your seam allowance is going to go. And normally when we put a dark and a light together, you always say press the seam allowance towards the dark side. Well, we don't have that choice in paper and foundation piecing. So when you're putting these together, I have my edges even here, and then I screwed it up. See, just ever so slightly, a few threads past the dark fabric underneath. That way, after I stitch it, when I open it up, I'm not going to get a shadow of the dark fabric showing through. Just a little tip. See, you can see I pushed the white a little bit past. And remember, in foundation or paper piecing, in traditional piecing, that would be a no-no because that would throw your whole block off. Paper piecing and foundation piecing, it's the line that's giving you the accuracy. And all of our pieces have a little bit of extra size to them. So this is not going to do anything except protect you from getting a shadow when you open your fabric up. And if you're using a light colored fabric and you think the numbers on the foundation are going to show through, I don't think it shows through on this one, but I'll show you what you do. If you think it, whoops, I guess you don't need to see my arm so close up. If you think it's going to show through, yeah, it might. Then I take my scissors, and when I ordered some little sharp embroidery, and just snip the number out. You aren't going to know it's not there. I just took that out. There goes number 11. And now there's no number there. So you don't have to worry about it showing through. Okay, now we're going to do number 12. We've got to trim that extra fabric down. So fold this over your straight edge. Put your add a quarter. Two things, never cut your foundation and never cut without your add a quarter. And if you have a hard time remembering that, I'll give you a little trick that I did when I first started paper piecing. I took my straight edge. These are our grippy straight edges. We do sell these. They've got real fine grit sandpaper laminated to cardstock. Anyway, put your add a quarter ruler right up against, so the lip is up against the edge of your straight edge. Put a piece of tape around here like this to make it like a hinge. So they're always together. So that then it's always there to remind you to, it would be hinged up here like this. I would just pull it down. So until you get really used to the process, I really highly recommend doing that. It'll save a lot of headaches until you learn, till the process becomes like just instinct. That's probably the biggest problem I have in my workshops with students who've never done this before, is they cut, like they'll fold it back and then they just cut without the add a quarter. And usually that means they're cutting the foundation, but it also means they're cutting the fabric that's already sewn on. They're cutting it with no seam allowance, so they're going to have to unstitch that piece and replace it. So I really do recommend hinging the add a quarter to your straight edge. And then if you're cutting the number away, it's really much easier if you do it as you go. I just like to fold it over and snip through the fold and then snip around the number. And this stuff is tough stuff, so it's not going to rip real easy. Okay, now that this is all covered, I want to, you don't need to stitch down the sides because the foundation is held with your stitching that goes all the way out to the broken line. But I am going to come up here on this top because you see how this is not attached and you really want to have it attached. So lay it out flat so you don't distort the block or the fabric. And like I say, I don't change my stitch length. And then just come down the side a little bit. Just like to have it all held together. Well, we have a lot of patterns on our website. Go check it out. And we have a lot. We post all these videos we do live. We post them all so you can go back and refer to them. If you decide to make one of the patterns we have, eventually we'll have all of them on there. I do live shows Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. From noon to 2 Pacific Daylight Time, and Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 7 to 9 Pacific Time, 10 to noon Eastern Time. My daughter-in-law, Laura, does lives, and we both work on different projects, so you get a variety. And I hear she's a lot more fun to watch than me. Anyway, that's okay. She's a lot younger than me. Got a lot more knowledge about what's going on in the world than me. And do around the bottom. Hi, Denise. So there's our sashing. And let's see, I think we'll sew these two blocks together with the sashing unit. Actually, I think, do I have blue thread out here? Nope. Do I have blue thread over here? No, but you know what? I got clear thread. I can do that. I will applique this on really quick. I hope really quick. You can see how I do that. I was gonna put the clear thread on the machine to show you how I do that. Now find a needle. I believe I think I have a needle over here. I usually do. Oh, I do. Went to the cardiologist for a checkup this morning, and I am in super good shape. Oh, it was so neat to hear. For an old lady, I'm not doing too bad. Well, I don't know how. I'm not sure. One thing I never learned in sewing was how to not. My girlfriend can just do it in her thumb and her index finger, and she gets the perfect knot at the end, and I still don't know how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to come up, and I'm sure there's people who do this much better than me. And there's nothing I would love to do or learn more than I love applique. And I love to turn my bindings and hand stitch them down. That's my favorite way to do it. I don't know if I can show you this. And if I would love to have somebody teach me how to do this. And my goal in my lifetime is to do a real, like, needle turn applique. I always want to do a Baltimore album. What's it called? A Baltimore album? Is that what it's called? I know you come up, well, the way I do it, not sure that, self-taught, so just catch, I just go down and just catch a couple of the threads right on the fold. I didn't look when I put the quilt, that the part that's done, I didn't look to see how I added those. You know, the centerpiece. I must have sewn them on like regular. With this short of a seam line, I would think that either way it's going to be about the same amount of time. So it's, you know, a pinning, clipping and pinning and then stitching it, or doing this. So I would say it's whatever tickles your fancy. Let's see, Lorraine, you missed how to put the outer part around the fan on this grandmother's fan block. And I'm going to show the pattern again. And I'm just showing the alternative way of adding this little corner piece. If you don't want to machine sew this small curved edge, you can applique it on. And let me knot this. I think that's fine. And then I want to press it. So I think that looks fine. Oh, that's a light in the fabric. I thought that was a bubble, but that's just, it's flat. Okay. This is, let me trim away some of these. You know me, I hate threads flopping all over the place. Okay, so now this goes together. We've got 2 blocks like that. And let's see, it goes, the white goes by the circles. Yeah, because this is, I have the row above it is done. And so this goes like this. We'll sew those together and do a whole row like that. And then the sashing up here, it's going to go like this. And then there's a white cornerstone there. Is that right? Yep. This is 1 full block here. And we're making 9 of those for the quilt. So you see the star, the way doing the top of this flying geese section with the white background there, and then the white in the middle makes the white star. I think that I've sewn these together in rows, and now I'm thinking, I should have made them just the 9 blocks. Wow. So there you go. You can do it either way. So this is the full pattern. It's Stars Aligned by Julia McLeod, and it is a lot of foundations because the entire quilt, except these cornerstones here, these squares in the middle, all the rest has foundation under it. So, and the border is all on foundation. Goes together super. Anyway, and hers is all done from silks. I think she said I forget where she got this fabric. So then it was just a matter of tying in the colors, finding silk ties. And actually, all of these in the fan, they're different navy blues from ties. She did. Beautiful. It's in her book, which we have. It's available on the website, I do believe. Her book goes through how to deconstruct ties or garments to use in your quilts. And she's got a gorgeous bed runner. I am in the process of making it. I think it will be a bed runner. I was thinking it would be a beautiful table runner until my husband pointed out that, do you really want white silk on your table and have wine stains in it? So, it's not really a new pattern. It's just this is my sample. She sent me the quilt to draft the pattern from, and so that's what we did, but I never completed my sample. What I've got up there, it totally cut out and virtually, it's so close to being done, I don't know why I didn't finish it, except business got in the way. But I have all the fans made, so all 36 of these are made, of 20 blocks made. The first 18 are all sewn together. I have most of the sashing units, if not done, almost done. So it's really stupid that I don't get it done, because I do love I do. When I put it up on the design wall this morning and stood back and looked at it, I just really was very, very pleased. I'm very anxious to get it done, and I'm thinking I might add it. It finishes as her pattern is. It finishes at 72 by 72, And I'm thinking that I might add some more border to it to make it a queen size bed is 60 by 80. So and I don't I don't do it like up over the pillows. I just put it up about 3 inches from the top of the mattress. So I just have to think about 80 plus the drop at the foot of the bed, maybe 95 inches long. So that's really not adding that much. And I could add the same border on the top. So it's really not that much to do. And if I did a 15-inch drop, that would be 102 inches by 102 inches. So it would be perfect for a queen. So I might do an addendum to this pattern for border. I don't believe I want 15 inches of plain fabric, although it is sort of a light color, the pink. Could provide some beautiful quilting. So I'm going to play around with it. Well, I'll show you as I get it done, but this is another one. So let's get this sewn together here. Let's join these, and then we'll make some more fan blocks, get those finished. I'm thinking, let's see, I'll just do the blocks. Okay, so there's really nothing to match. No points need to match. So that makes putting these together pretty easy. As I recall, I think maybe, I think maybe this circle. I think I designed that, so this circle. We also have this block in the Flying Circus pattern by Julia. And right now that's I don't know if we even have the Grandmother's fan blocks available. I'll have to look and see. I don't know if there's any interest in making an old-fashioned Grandmother's fan quilt, like maybe in the 30s reproduction fabrics. When I think of a Grandmother's fan, that is the fabric I envision in my head, is the 30s fabrics. And you know, I have never done any of my designs in the 30s style fabrics. And let me see, I'm not sure if we are opening. I think I'm pressing the seams towards the block. I think I'm going to press them open. Although we have a lot of, let's see. What usually determines if I press them open or not is obviously the bulk, so that your seams will lay nice and flat. I think I'm gonna, that's a lot there. I'm gonna press them open. because sometimes the bulk will keep the seam from really fully opening, so you don't want to cut off your points. Oh, that feels good. And you don't want to feel a big lump of fabric underneath, so that works good. It's entirely up to you. But up here, there is, because there's a seam here, and then the seam here, it's a lot of fabric right there, so. Okay, now we'll join this like this. And this looks like this is supposed to match here, where the top of the inner circle and this point come together. I think that's the only thing on here, other than your ends, of course, that need to match. So yeah, so my table runner / bed runner, I think we're going back to the idea of a bed runner. If I would have thought about it, I would have put a dark colored fabric. But I wanted to make something with the silks to show for her pattern. And years ago, a very good friend of mine gave me a shopping bag full of silk scraps from, they were left over at the mill from a tie company, and they were all tiny black prints. Some have a little splash of red or blue or yellow in them, or white. And I thought I'd been holding on to those fabrics for years, not knowing exactly. I was thinking I was going to make a jacket. And when I saw Julia's quilt, it's just flying, 2 different sizes of flying geese. I think I don't remember. I know I'm using 1.5 by 3 and 3 by 6. Because for every 3 by 6, you get a 1 and 2 1.5 by 3s. And I forget what the name of it is, what she calls her pattern, but she has 2 daughters, so the 2 smaller ones are the 2 daughters. And to tell you the truth, I can't even remember if they go in the same direction. I know mine are going opposite. The little ones are going one direction, and the big ones are going the opposite direction. And it's coming out beautiful. Actually, it's not white silk, it's white satin with the silk ties. Okay, that looks pretty good. That one, see, I gotta open that up. It's stitched right. It's just with the bulk, it doesn't open quite right. We'll work on that one. And if I can't get it to open, I will unstitch that little tiny bit and pull this out. Yeah, bothers me. That one's much better. That one's perfect. All the rest look great. Oh, that's not so bad. Yeah, it is. Okay. So now you'll see how we unstitch and fix that. Oh, that's why I'm off on my line here. The other day, I think I mentioned that sometimes it's good to pin through and make sure your seam lines are aligned, because while you're stitching, it's very easy for fabrics to shift, especially if you're not, I do not have my walking foot on because I don't like it for piecing, but I like it when I'm sewing my seams together. But I don't like to spend the time to switch back and forth. So when you're not using your walking foot, this is the risk you run, which is why maybe you should do all your piecing, switch your foot, and then sew everything together. So I guess we're gonna get back to piecing. But I think I'm gonna make the bottom row 3 of the blocks. You see, I don't like to just snip, 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 but then I end up, you guys, you know I hate threads. And if I just snip, 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 then I'm sitting there picking out threads, and it just drives me bonkers. So I literally unstitch. And that probably drives people crazy. Okay, let's do that. Pull that thread out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is make sure my 2 seam lines line up. Right up to the that looks, whoops. That looks good. Okay. And I got a cord stuck under my chair. Let's see, we're down about there. No, about there. And that's another thing. I stitched with this side on top, and when you're doing something with all those flying geese, when you got a lot of points on the other side, this is a side I should have stitched on. Yeah, that's better. And I knew that. I knew better. It's better to stitch on the side where you have the points, so you know you don't cut them off. One less thing to worry about. Okay. So now, the sashing is going to take 2 of these and a 4.5 inch square, and I don't think this is a 4.5 inch square. I know it's not. Yeah, those are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay. And I don't know. I guess we won't put those together. Let's go back to piecing. How's that? We're going to do another outer part. Look at my messy, filthy, worn out floor. And this square will yield us a couple of the background pieces. These. I'll put one up here. Turn it over so I can read it. Press it. And then I'll put another one this way. Press it. And then that center piece will give me a couple of the inner, a couple of just these. So I'm going to take my scissors and just rough cut this. So I leave a big enough section in the middle to make those two center pieces. And then I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to stitch around the outside edge. So I got a lot of seeds planted, started in my little greenhouse. I'm so excited. It's finally done. I'm getting it organized. I got some pegboard up on the walls and hooks so I could hang all my little hand tools and things. And I got, so I planted several big trays of seeds in there. I did that on Monday, and some of them are popping up already. So now that means I have to go out and get the vegetable garden prepared to transplant. I'm very late this year with all that stuff. I have tomatoes. I have 3 cherry tomato plants and 2 beefsteaks. That's all the tomatoes I've planted so far. But we usually are still picking tomatoes at Thanksgiving here if our weather is normal. It's pretty mild. So we'll be enjoying them for a while. And I think I've told you all before, our goal was to get this greenhouse done so I can plant a couple of big pots in there of tomatoes, indeterminate, to see if I can't grow tomatoes year round. I would love it. My husband would love it. And I would love to have them growing at Christmas time out there, because our kids are this is our year to have Christmas. And I just think it'd be awesome. Little Benjamin loves cherry tomatoes. They're like candy to him. Yes, this is what I just did is the basting, and I just use a regular stitch length, Lorraine. I don't bother to change it. I find if I change it and make it too big, because it's only a single layer of fabric with the foundation, when you change the length of your stitches, a lot of times the tension isn't the same as it is when you're sewing 2 layers of fabric together, and it'll kind of bunch it up or distort it a little bit maybe. So make this in batiks. Oh, that would be cool. Oh, that would be real cool, Denise. And yes and no. It is we haven't, it's been published, it says here, for, where's the copyright? 22. So we did this design 4 years ago, but and it's been printed. We just haven't pushed it or shown it because Debbie got lazy and didn't finish a sample. So that's what we're doing now. And I do have this kitted. And yes, we'll probably, now that we get this made, we'll probably update it with some other fabrics. We really have to get a lot done because Laura and I are both doing shows this fall at the same time. So she's going to have some quilts that I don't have, and I'm going to have some she doesn't have. And I do clip a little bit more than what it shows on here, but that's entirely up to you. Okay, and then we've got to trim the fan part. And the fans, if you weren't here at the beginning, I have all the fans made. Just very straightforward, very simple. The reason they're all made already is because I sat and chain pieced them. Yeah, I had 2 stacks of fabric, the dark blue and the light blue. I had them here next to my on my sewing machine, and I just chain pieced. You can tell I chain pieced because the stitching goes all the way down to where I started the next one. Just made it go there's 36 of these, so it made it go super fast, and you didn't have to think about anything. I did them I believe, in groups of 6 just to be manageable. But you could do all 36 if you wanted, if you had a place for them to fall into. But anyway, so they're all done. So now, tonight when I'm done here, I will probably sit and trim all of them. And then I will probably, I'm thinking, go ahead and do the rest of these, get them all basted and trimmed, because then I can just sit and sew them together pretty quickly. And I usually, when I'm doing something like that, I will, if I'm going to sew, which I'm going to sew the rest of mine on here, this inner part on the machine. That was just real easy to do. And I'll probably do all that first because to me that's the part I like the least. So I will probably sit and get all that done, and then all I have to do is sew the outside part on, and then chain piece the last of the sashing pieces I have to do. And I have 2 of the 4 border strips done. So I really don't have that much left to do. And I don't know why I drug my feet on this. As for such a big quilt, it really, I know there's a lot of pieces to it, but it all goes, because it's all the same. You know, you got 36 of these fan sections to make. But they're all exactly the same, so it goes fast. Okay. And let's see, where are my the foundations for the centerpiece? I thought I brought them all over. No. I'll get them. Anyway, we'll do this. And normally on my, in fact, I'm going to try it this way. Oh, that one's still attached. Okay, so did that answer your question, Lorraine, about the basting part? You can see the stitching on this side. I just ran the line of stitching between the solid line and the dotted line like we do on so many of our blocks. You just do it before you trim it. So now I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I normally, when I'm doing the New York Beauty, I normally sew on this part. So I'm going to try that this time. Not that it makes any difference. It's whatever you like, whichever side you like to do. I do on the New York Beauty, I do it on this part, on the arc part, because I have points to match. So I want to make sure I don't cut off the points when I'm sewing it. I'll just round this, that's why the clips are in that seam allowance, so you can kind of open it up a little bit to match the curve. And then I go out here and I make sure I have my two side edges lined up straight. So when you open that up, you want to match that point with that point. So when you open it up, this seam line goes straight on out. And then we'll make sure the rest of this gets eased in there. And it would work better if I didn't pin myself to it. Pull that down. Okay, there's no puckers pinned in there. Now we'll go to the other half. Go out here. Well, and this, like I say, you can't be afraid to pin. And it fits just right. And I don't have any puckers pinned in there, so now we will will I don't know if I need to really do this, but I'm going to. There. And put the needle down. After I get so far, I put my hand in between to make sure that the fabric underneath is getting fed through evenly and that it doesn't pucker. Yeah, this side's easier to sew on. See, now I could feel that there was like a crease underneath, so you just spread it out. If I could, I just hold my hand there and see, you just want to feed that through. I don't know. Just feed it through so you don't get the puckers. Don't get a pucker in it. So Laura went down to the Road to Virginia quilt show today. And I just signed up to vend and teach. I'll have 2 classes at Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show in Hampton in the first week of March. So now I have to figure out a couple of projects. When you do a workshop like that, it's difficult to decide on a project because it's something you want them to get enough done in class to go home feeling confident to finish the project. And I've learned over the years that it's better if I have them bring pre-cut, their fabric's already cut. So, but there again, I like to teach fast ways of cutting for a quilt. So I'm always undecided about how to handle that. So I'm thinking maybe to have them bring them pre-cut, but to do a video, post the video, have them link it on their website when they sign up so they can see the video on how to cut their fabrics so they can come to class ready to sew. And this year, I'm not going to rely on the staff at the facility to have irons. I'm going to be taking, however many students I have, I'm taking this many irons. And I think we'll have, we'll make up some little portable ironing mats. So everybody can have an iron. I'll make sure I have lots of power bars. Because last year I was just totally disappointed because I said I needed irons and ironing mats and they didn't put them out for us. And the pattern we did was you couldn't really do it without the iron. So I'm not going to run that risk again. But I'm, learning. I learn too. So each year I do workshops. I find better things to make better use of our time and all that. So now I'm excited. I just got to figure out what we're going to do. And I applied to teach at, is it QuiltCon? Oh, there went a fingernail. QuiltCon, is that? No. The modern quilt one. And I guess my quilts aren't modern enough. And of course, I didn't send them the two latest pictures of the two latest. So we'll see. Whoops. This is just, you saw me press this, and it's just, you don't have to like really super iron it. It's just hit it with the iron just enough, and it makes it it makes it static electricity. And if you guys find when you're working on these that you have too much static electricity, I use Static Guard. And or you can take a dryer sheet and just have it at your ironing board, and if you hit the foundation with the iron just to warm it up a little bit, then just rub it with your hand over top of the dryer sheet. I actually have a table where I opened up a couple of dryer sheets and laid them out flat, and when I press, like when I take them out of the package, take the whole roll of foundations out of the package, as I'm unrolling it, I pass it over the dryer sheet, and that usually pretty much takes care of all the static electricity problems. It's just the nature of it. But then there's times you like the static electricity, like this. It keeps it in place long enough to get it basted down. You can use like the 505 temporary glue baste if you wanted to. I find it makes the fabric just a little stiffer until you have worked with it a little bit and got it, steam pressed it a couple of times, and then the glue dissipates. But it does give it a little bit of a more body while you're working on it. So we're gonna trim the straight edges a 1/4 inch from the solid line. I think one day in about a month, let's see, I'm going to do this with the rotary cutter. And if you're going to do that, you really need to have the blade sharp. And then we'll clip. So I clip at the clip marks and then I clip once in between. Because that's, I don't know how to explain this. That's about how far I roll it before I pin it again, is about the distance between each clip mark. So that, for me, that works good. Remember, you don't want to cut this line because that's your stitching line, and if you cut past it, you're going to have a little tiny hole in your block. And then we'll get this ready. I want to trim down the two straight edges. Did anybody by chance attend the quilt show? I think it was it last weekend or the weekend before last in Reno? I always loved doing that show. I did it, I don't know if any of you remember Vicky. She worked for the Rusty Barn shows, and then she did a few shows. She promoted a few shows herself, and Reno was hers. And I loved doing that. So that's going to be that way. So let's see. I had much better luck stitching on this side. Let me match my center. With the center mark on here. A little dot right there. Match my edges. The fabric edges should match. And if you go along and you want to make sure, as I roll these edges together, you can always put a pin in this seam line. Make sure, see, I'm off there. Make sure it goes through the seam line underneath. There we are. And there. Who's watching soccer tonight? Football. I've been schooled. Soccer to me, but it's been exciting. Roll that together. And then, like I said, I usually put the first couple of pins in, working out from the center. And then I come out to the end and match. Make sure my corners match. They do. And you want to keep this straight. Aha, I found the secret. Use a long pin. Okay. got to make sure that that underneath section that you keep your edges pulled all the way up, because it's the curve. If you push this back piece, if it's not even with the top, it makes it the curve bigger, so you have extra fabric there. If that makes sense. I don't know how to explain, but you need to have your edges together. There's no puckers on that side. Okay, let's do a couple pins here. And go back out to the end, line that up all the way. Beautiful. Okay, finish this up. One more pin. Okay. Sure that's smooth under there. Get in there. No puckers, yay. So then, like I say, I like to run the nose of the iron. I think it's sort of setting the seam, but it makes, if you get that iron flat down, I hit this Just press it. It's not going to stretch. Okay. There we are. Okay. We got another one done. I think this grandmother's fan, I gotta do these inside parts. I gotta find where I put the foundations for them though. So we've got these made. We've got most of our sashings made. I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up. And hopefully I will have a finished quilt for you on Saturday to show you. I've got another new project to do on Saturday. And once again, this pattern is Stars Aligned. It's designed by Julia McLeod. She gave me her original, and I drafted the pattern from that, wrote the pattern for her, and did all the foundations for this pattern. And yeah, it's on the website, Stars Aligned. It's 72 by 72. And of course, you can see if you wanted to add a big border around it, you certainly could to make it, what did I say? I was going to add 16 inches all the way around. So I will figure out something hopefully clever to do, and to make it a queen size. I think it'd be beautiful. That'd be 104 by 104 by 104. So we'll see what we can come up with, and hopefully show you this part all finished on Saturday or close to it. And we're going to have another new project to work on Saturday. So I hope to see you guys. Have a great weekend if I don't. And be sure, if you can, to tune in to see Laura tomorrow morning, 10 to noon Eastern Time, 7 to 9 Pacific Time, and whatever times those are, Central and Mountain. See what she's working on. I don't even know what she's working on tomorrow. But anyway, we'll get working on this, trying to get this finished up, and we'll see you Saturday at noon. I sure do hope, and I thank you for joining me today. Hope you learned a little something, at least if nothing else, how easy it is to make perfect flying geese and great curved seams. So until then, we'll see you Saturday. Thank you. Bye-bye.